only 8% of people actually read a bank contract before signing it. 8%. That means 92 out of every 100 people. People just like you, people who work hard, who pay their bills, who are careful with their money, sat down in front of a legal document that could affect their finances for years and signed it without reading a single page. And here's the thing nobody talks about. That's not an accident. Think about the last time you signed something at a bank, a loan, a new account, a credit card agreement. Do you remember how thick that document was? Do you remember if anyone walked you through it, clause by clause, and made sure you actually understood what you were agreeing to? Or did someone slide it across the desk, point to the line, and say, "Just sign here"? Most of us sign because we trust the institution, because we feel the pressure of the moment, because we assume someone would tell us if something was wrong. But here's what I want you to understand by the end of this video. Banks don't just benefit from you not reading, they count on it. The contract isn't just paperwork, it's a tool. And once you understand exactly how it works, you will never walk into a signing again without knowing what game is being played. Stay with me until the end, because the last part is the one that changes everything. It's the piece of psychology that makes people give up, even after they realize they've been misled. And once you know, it loses all its power over you. Picture this. You walk into a bank branch. You have an appointment. The manager greets you with a warm handshake, offers you a coffee, asks about your day. The office feels professional, calm, trustworthy. You're there because you need a loan, maybe for a car, maybe to consolidate some debt, maybe to finally make that home renovation happen. After a few minutes of friendly conversation, he opens a folder and slides a document across the table. It's thick, maybe 30 pages, maybe 40, small font, dense paragraphs, legal language you'd need a dictionary to decode. And then he says the words that shut down every instinct you have to slow down and read. It's our standard contract. Everyone signs this. He's still smiling. The coffee is warm, the clock on the wall is ticking, and somewhere in the back of your mind, a small voice says, "Maybe I should read this." But another voice, louder, says, "Don't be difficult. This is a bank. This is official. If something were wrong, he'd tell you." So you sign. Now picture a different scene. You're on your phone, late at night, signing up for a new bank account through an app. The screen shows a button. "I agree to the terms and conditions." Below it, in small gray text, a link to a 47-page document. You've had a long day. Your thumb hovers for half a second, and then you tap agree and move on with your life. Sound familiar? These two scenes happen millions of times every day, and according to a 2025 survey by Adobe, 69% of consumers admitted to signing a contract without knowing all the details. Not because they're reckless, not because they don't care, but because the situation was designed to feel like reading was unnecessary, even a little rude. And here's what I really need you to hear. This doesn't happen to careless people. It doesn't happen to people who aren't paying attention. It happens to smart, educated, careful people, people who would never hand over their wallet to a stranger, but who hand over their signature to a document they've never read. Because the environment they're in was specifically built to make that feel normal. The bank branch feels official, so you trust it. The manager seems friendly, so you relax. The contract looks like bureaucracy, so you treat it like bureaucracy. None of that is by accident. So let me show you exactly how this works, because once you see the mechanism behind it, the whole thing looks completely different. So here's where it gets interesting. Most people think the problem with bank contracts is that they're long and boring, and sure, they are. But that's not the real reason people don't read them. The real reason is happening inside your brain, and the bank knows exactly what it is. Let's go layer by layer. On the surface, a contract looks like a neutral formality, something both sides agree to, so everything is official. But here's what it really is. A contract is a risk transfer document. Every clause, every paragraph exists to move risk away from the bank and onto you. The friendliness, the coffee, the professional office, that's the packaging. The contract is the actual product. But knowing that still isn't enough to make people read it, because there are 3 psychological triggers firing at the exact same time that make reading feel unnecessary, even impossible. The first one is complexity as a weapon. When a document is long and written in legal language, your brain shuts down automatically, not because you're not smart enough, but because your brain is efficient. It recognizes an impossible task and stops wasting energy on it. It's like opening a 90-page instruction manual in 6 languages. You just put it down. Banks know this. The complexity isn't a side effect, it's a feature. The second trigger is authority bias. We all have a natural tendency to trust people and institutions that seem credible and official. In a bank, everything is designed to trigger that feeling. The building, the titles, the professional tone. So when the manager says, "This is standard," your brain doesn't question it. It hears an expert already verified this, and quietly, your instinct to protect yourself gets switched off. But that's not even the real trick. The third trigger is the one that closes the trap. It's called loss aversion, a concept from behavioral psychology developed by Daniel Kahneman and Amos Tversky. In plain language, losing something feels about twice as painful as gaining the same thing feels good. So when someone says this rate is only available today, or I can't guarantee these terms next week, that's not a friendly heads up. That's a calculated move to flip your brain from careful evaluation mode into don't miss this mode. And once that switch flips, reading 40 pages feels like the thing that's going to cost you the deal. Now here's the layer most people never hear about. And this one changes everything. Researchers at Stanford Law School studied what happens after people realize a contract misled them. After they discover that what they were told didn't match what they actually signed. And what they found was this. Most people didn't fight back, not because they couldn't, but because the fine print itself convinced them they had no case. The signed document made them feel like the outcome was final, even when they had been deceived, even when they never read a single page. So the system has 4 layers. Complexity stops you from reading, authority stops you from questioning, urgency stops you from slowing down, and the fine print stops you from fighting back afterward. 4 triggers, 1 moment, 1 signature, and now you know exactly what's inside that moment. So now let's make this real, because those 4 triggers don't show up as abstract psychological concepts. They show up as specific phrases, specific moments, things you've probably heard before and never knew exactly what they meant. Here are the ones to watch for. The first one, it's a standard contract. Everyone signs this. Translation, stop reading. That phrase exists for one reason, to make you feel like scrutiny is unnecessary. The document has already been vetted by everyone who came before you. But here's the thing. There is no such thing as a contract that's too standard to read. Standard just means they use it on everyone, which means every unfavorable clause in there gets applied to everyone too. The second one, this offer is only valid today. Translation, don't think, just act. That's loss aversion being activated on purpose. The moment a deadline appears, your brain stops evaluating the product and starts focusing on not losing the opportunity. And a brain that's focused on not losing is a brain that's not reading. Anytime you feel rushed at a signing table, that feeling is a signal, not to speed up, but to slow down. The third one, you can cancel anytime. This one is subtle. It sounds reassuring. It's designed to lower your guard right at the moment you're about to commit. But the actual cancellation terms, the notice period, the fees, the conditions, those are somewhere in the document you haven't read. Anytime in the conversation and anytime in the contract are often 2 very different things. And here's one more that shows up differently, not as something someone says, but as something you feel. That sense of, I don't want to be difficult. That moment where asking to take the contract home or saying, I need more time to read this, feels awkward. Like you're being suspicious of someone who's just trying to help you. That feeling, that's the authority bias doing its job. Politeness is being used as a tool against your own best interests. So here's your checklist. 4 signals that tell you to pause before you sign. 1. Someone tells you it's standard or that everyone signs it. 2. You're told the offer expires today or very soon. 3. You feel reassured with a verbal promise that contradicts what's actually in the document. 4. You feel socially pressured not to slow down or ask questions. Any one of these is a signal. All 4 together means you're inside a system that's working exactly as designed. Now, think about the last time you signed something at a bank or a financial institution, a loan agreement, a credit card, a new account. Did anyone say any of those phrases? Did you feel any of that pressure? Did you sign something you never fully read? If you did, now you know exactly what was happening in that room. Here's what I want you to take away from everything we've covered today. You were never the problem. Not when you signed without reading, not when you trusted the manager, not when you felt rushed and just went with it. None of that happened because you were careless or naive. It happened because you were placed inside an environment that was carefully designed to produce exactly that outcome. The complexity, the authority, the urgency, the reassuring phrases, none of it was accidental. It was architecture, and you were never supposed to notice it. That's not a small thing. That's actually a really important distinction, because there's a big difference between I made a mistake and I was navigated into a result. One puts all the weight on you, the other puts it where it actually belongs, on a system that profits from your signature more than it profits from your understanding. And here's the shift I want you to make right now. The most powerful thing you can do at a signing table isn't to become a lawyer. It isn't to read every single line of a 40-page document on the spot. It's simpler than that, and it's something anyone can do. It's a pause, a deliberate, unapologetic pause, asking to take the contract home, asking for 24 hours, saying, I'd like to read this before I sign, out loud, calmly, without explaining yourself. That pause is worth more than any rate they're offering you, because a bank that gets uncomfortable when you ask to read what you're signing is a bank that was counting on you not reading it. And from this point forward, you will never look at a signing moment the same way again. You'll recognize the phrases. You'll feel the urgency for what it is. You'll know that standard contract is not a reason to stop reading. It's a reason to start. The next time someone slides a document across a table and says, it's just a formality, you'll know exactly what that moment is, and you'll know exactly what to do. So remember this, the contract was never just paperwork. It was the game. And now you know how it's played. But that's just one of the ways banks influence your decisions before you even realize a decision is being made. If this has opened your eyes, share it with someone who needs to hear this. And subscribe so you don't miss the next video.